is where we left it when we finished our last lesson. We learned to do basket weave. We learned about some basics on needlepoint. We learned to do a waffle stitch, and we left our little needle there in that little waffle stitch. And you should still have some thread. If you need to pull another strand of thread out, you can get another one. We're going to do a scotch stitch. So if you're looking at your instructions, we're going to do a scotch stitch. Now, a scotch stitch is really super straightforward, right? And we're going in a little bit different order than the handout does, but that's okay because we're learning. But if you look at, I want you to pull out this piece of instruction. So it says boxed hard up in the top, but it's the full diagram of this design. Now you can see on here that you've got, these are waffle stitches, okay? You see I wrote some counting on here for some other stuff. These are all the waffle stitches. You've got a Rhodes heart right here, which we've not done yet, but we're going to. And then you've got this knitted braid on the side, okay? So the next stitch we're going to do is a super easy one. It's a scotch stitch. And to do that, you're just coming up in one corner and going down in another, and it's on a diagonal. And you'll notice that all of these go in the same direction. All of these scotch stitches, they all go in the same direction. And they all cover 8 threads. So all the scotch stitches cover 8 threads, just like your waffle stitch. And that's what's going to make them all fit in here perfectly. And then this box is a 16 thread box. 16 this way, 16 this way. And it's perfect for this big Rhodes heart, or you can do a big Rhodes square in there. Okay? So the scotch stitch, let's start it. We're going to come up in one corner and go down in another. So it's not counted on here for you, but it's pretty straightforward. And we'll make sure you can get through it. Okay, so first you want to thread your needle. You can use your needle threader, or you can thread it the way I do it if you figure that out. Now, you can do an away knot or a waist away knot. An away knot is fine. We'll put it in the line of stitching this time, and we will stitch over it. Okay? So I just tied 2 square knots there on the top. That's it. Now I'm going to do that scotch stitch right underneath my last waffle stitch. I'm going to skip like 3 threads again and do it. I'm going to be starting in this upper left hand corner, and I'm going to go down. So I'm going to put my scotch stitch. I know it's going to be 8 threads, right? So that's going to help you a little bit. It'll be right underneath that one. So I'm going to put it kind of over here, so that actually over here. So now I'll stitch over it, right? Okay, so I'm going to skip 3 threads down below that last scotch, last waffle stitch. You can put this anywhere. It doesn't matter where. But you are going to start in the upper left-hand corner. So put your away knot down in the lower right. Okay? So, remember, you always come up on an odd. So we come up on one, and the first stitch is just going over one diagonal. So up a thread, over a thread, and down. Okay? Now, the second leg of this stitch starts right underneath the first one. So wherever you came up at 1, you're going to come up at 3 right underneath that. And then you're going to go down right beside that one. Okay? So you're just making a little diagonal box. This one's going to come up right underneath where you started the last one. And go down beside where you went down the last time. Okay? So we're not even having to count this yet. But what we're going to be doing is covering 8 threads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is going to be your last stitch right here. It's covering 8 threads just like the other one. And it's going to cover 8 going down. Okay, so you come up right underneath the last one. You don't really need to count. You just come up here beside this one and you go back down. Okay? Do the same thing again. Come up underneath the last one. Come over here and go back down. Right? Same thing again. And go back down. Okay, let's count where we are. Let's count over here on the side. So it's an 8-thread square. So you know that you went over one diagonal here. Let's count that first thread because you covered that thread. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've covered 6 threads that way. Let's count this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've covered 6 that way. So you should have 2 more stitches left. So let's come up right underneath here and let's go down right beside it. And if you started beside or underneath one of your other stitches, you will know when you have hit 8 threads because it'll be in line with that one. Okay? So let's look at this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. Let's count up the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that looks right. So we're going to go down right there. Now, you had a little empty hole there in the corner. That's okay because you're not counting holes. You're counting threads that got covered, remember? So you covered this first thread in that stitch, so you counted it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you went down right there. And you covered this first thread with this first stitch, so let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you went up right there. So that is the first half of your little scotch stitch, right? Now you just want to fill it in. Let's look at the back. See, it's covering that away thread, okay? So you're all good right there. Okay, so now you need to start coming over. You don't want to be going down anymore. You want to be coming over this way so you can finish up the box. So now you're going to come over one thread, right? So you covered 8 threads coming down. Now you want to come over one thread and start beside that one. And on this side, you want to go down. So you've just kind of reversed how you were doing that stitch, right? So now you're just going to fill in the square. So you're going to come over a thread here on the bottom, and you're going to come down a thread on the side. Make sure you don't skip any holes. It'll look weird. And make sure you don't go in any hole twice. Okay? So again, you know, you're coming up in a clean hole right here on the bottom. And you're going down in a clean hole right underneath the last one over on the side. Okay? Do the same thing again. Come up in a clean hole. Go down in a clean hole on the side. See how you're finishing up that square? Come up in a clean hole. Go down in a clean hole right underneath the last one over on the side. And if you get to your way knot, just snip it off. If it's in your way, if it's inside your box, just go ahead and snip it off because you've already covered it on the back. It's fine. Okay? You come over one thread on the bottom and come down one thread on the side. Make sure you're not going into a hole that's already got a thread in it. And if you need to count these, you can count down the side. It's okay. Okay? This is going to be their last part of this box. You come up beside it and go down. And now you've just covered one little diagonal intersection, just like you did on the very first leg of the stitch. Now it's a perfect square. So why don't you count it to make sure? Let's count the threads that are inside the square. So let's start here because that's where we started. And let's count the threads that we covered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threads covered. That's perfect. Now, let's start down here and let's count up, or you can start up here and count down. You want to count the threads that are covered inside the box, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threads covered. So you're perfect. So it's a perfect little square, and it lines up with these others, and you start to see that variegation in there. It's beautiful. Okay, do another one of those. You can do it right underneath it. You can do it beside it. It doesn't matter. Now, when you do your full design, you're going to be going into dirty holes. You're going to be coming up in dirty holes and going into dirty holes. And by dirty, I mean it has a thread in it. So, you know, don't be afraid to actually bump up against one of these other things. So let's do another one. I'm going to come up here beside this one, and I'm going to count over 8 threads, and I'm going to do one right beside this little box. And I'm carrying a thread on the back. It's okay. It's a practice piece. It doesn't matter. Okay. If you want to end your thread and restart, feel free to do it. You're just going to run it under. No big deal. Okay. So I'm going to skip 8 threads because I want this to be right beside this. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's exactly 8 threads over. Now remember, on this scotch stitch, you have a little open hole in the corner. So come down 1 thread because you want to be going from the side to the top, right? So once you get 8 threads over, counting inside the same row, you want to line it up to where you go down on the same row that this guy is on. That's right. So you're going to come up a thread, over a thread, and go down. Now, you should line up to where your thread going down is on the same row that one is going down, okay? Then you just come down underneath that one, and then you go up to the top, stay in the same row, and go down right there, okay? And cover your 8 threads. Now, because I counted over 8 threads from that waffle stitch, I'm going to know 8 threads because I'm going to hit that waffle stitch, which is fine. And when I do, we'll count it, and we'll just make sure that I told you the truth. Now, if you get a little slip knot like that, you just kind of pull it. It comes out. See? Don't get crazy with it. Be a little gentle, but you just tug it a little bit. It'll come out. Okay, make sure you're coming up in an empty hole. It looks kind of cattywampus, doesn't it? It doesn't look like it's going to work, but it does. Okay, this is going to be the last long leg. This is the longest leg. It's going through the center. So right now, I am on the same row that this waffle stitch covers on it, and I'm going to go down in a dirty hole, because that's where the waffle stitch is. And that's going to be true when you're doing your other piece, right? Now I'm going to come over to the side. I'm not coming down anymore. I'm coming over to the side, and I'm going to finish this out. So coming down through here, I'm going to be going down into dirty holes. And you're just going to have to look, kind of take your needle and move your thread aside a little bit and make sure you're in the right spot. Okay? And you can just check it. It's really easy to get into the wrong hole, and you'll notice on your square if you do, because your threads will either overlap or they'll have a little gap, right? Now if you come over here and you're, you know, too far in, you'll see canvas underneath, and you don't want to see any canvas on this one because we're coming right into the edge of that other stitch, right? You should have the same number of stitches down the side as you do across the bottom. Okay, this is the last one. Right? We didn't put one there because we're crossing over that last diagonal. So that's how it looks when they butt up against each other. That's how it's going to look in your finished piece. Okay? So that's a scotch stitch. Pretty easy peasy. Right? So now let's end this thread. You see it's even really pretty on the back. Just run the thread under, and it's secured right there. You don't have to worry about weaving it back and forth. If you wanted to, you could, but you don't have to. Okay. All right. So good stuff. You've gotten that scotch stitch down. You've done the waffle stitch. Now we are going to do a Rhodes heart, right? So if you want to practice that scotch stitch, you can go ahead and do it. But we want to do a Rhodes heart, and then I'm going to show you how to do a Rhodes square. So if you are looking at your diagram, that Rhodes heart is numbered out for you in the center of that, the one that says boxed heart. Okay? You're going to come up at 1, go down at 2. So you're always coming up on the odd, going down on the even. All right? And following it around. Okay. So let's get a piece of thread. If you need to cut another piece, you can. You remember I tied mine in this little hank. And it doesn't really matter which end you pull it off of. You got some pretty variegation. You want a pretty good length. So, you know, I might pull a yard on this one. Something close to a yard. And it seems like a lot of thread, and it will be, you know, you'll have to try to make sure you don't get it tangled, right? But when you're doing Rhodes hearts and Rhodes squares, it's kind of a pain if you have to end and re-begin. Okay? So you want to, you know, pop the top of this little strand until you get them separated. Grab one, hold the bundle still, and pull the one out that you grabbed. Remember, hold the bundle still. Don't try to do it like this. You'll get a huge knot, okay? And straighten that extra piece back out and lay it over to the side. All right? So you've got a pretty good long piece here. Let's thread up. Use your needle threader if you need it. If you can do it with your finger, do it with your finger. This is a 22 needle, just like we had before. It's one of the 2 that I sent you. Okay? And I am going to definitely start with an away knot, waist away knot, actually, on this one. Tie 2 little knots in the end with this thread that keeps it from coming through the canvas. Okay. Now, I'm going to start, if you look at your diagram and you find 1, let's look at it together. So let's look at this diagram. All right, 1 is right here. It's on the side. Where's 2? 2 straight across from it. This covers 16 threads. Let's count them. These lines represent threads. Don't count the holes, count the threads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, down at 2. Okay? Then you come up at 3, and you go down at 4. Once you've gotten your 16 threads between 1 and 2, you don't have to keep counting. Not for 16. You're just going to be following your diagram. Okay? But this heart is going to cover 16 threads. These are 16 thread square space right in the middle of, almost in the middle of your design. This is the dead middle of that design. Okay? So that little circle right there where it has 39, 41, and 43, 3 stitches are going to go in there. That's the dead middle of your design. When we get ready to start our real piece, we will find that center. And we'll come out from that. Okay? So let's just look at the diagram first. It's really important when you're doing these kind of specialty stitches to understand the diagram. So you come up at 1, which is in the center of the side of your heart. You go down at 2. You come up at 3. You go down at 4. 5 drops underneath 1. Down at 6. You see how it just crisscrossed over? Up at 7, down at 8, up at 9, down at 10, up at 11. Now you've got to jump in 1, down at 12. So 12 is where you start to come in. Okay? And then you come in over here at 13. So you're now coming in 1 thread. 13, and you're going to go down at 14, which is still up here. Okay? So 12 and 13 is where you jump in. Remember, you're always up on an odd, down on an even. So you just went down on 14. Where's 15? It's coming down the slope of the heart. So you come up at 15, go down at 16. Now you're coming in over here. Up at 17, down at 18. Up at 19, down at 20. You're coming in still. So you need to just make sure that you're following the shape of the heart. We just went down at 20, come up at 21, which is still over here, down at 22, up at 23. Where's 23? It's over here, down at 24. Now you're on the top part of this side of the heart. Up at 25, down at 26. Up at 27, you're still on the slope down here, down at 28, right beside that one. Up at 29, down at 30. Up at 31, you're still down here on the slope, down at 32. Okay? Up at 33, down at 34. Up at 35, down at 36. You're coming down the slope right here. Up at 37, down at 38. You're coming down over here. Now, 39 is right here. You see this arrow pointing down. 39 is in this little hole right here at the very pointy part of the heart. You come up at 39, down at 40. Where's 41? It's in that same hole. You're coming up in a dirty hole. Up at 41, down at 42. Where's 43? The same hole. It's the third time you're coming through that hole. You come up at 43, and you go down in the center at the top at 44. And you finish that Rhodes heart. So that is the way you should maybe think about your diagrams before you stitch them. Walk it through so that you don't have to memorize where things are, but you need to have a general idea. You need to get comfortable with that. So remember that 1 started over here in the left-hand center, and 2 was over here, and we built off that. And the first thing we did was count over 16 threads. All right? So we ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. Okay. So you have your thread, your needle threaded. You've got a knot. It's going to be a waist away knot. So you're going to, put it down here somewhere. Okay. We're going to put that Rhodes heart kind of over in here. Now remember, you need 16 threads. It's 16 thread box. So let's start it right here. Let's count over 16 threads. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Plenty of room. Now, do we have 8 threads underneath? Yeah, I don't have to count that. I can see we've got 8 threads. You want to make sure you've got enough room to finish the heart. All right. And you've got a bigger piece of canvas than this little one I was playing with, so you don't have any worries. Okay, let's count this again because this is really important. This has to be 16 threads, all right? So let's count. We came up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and down. I'm going to do it again because my needle jumped there, and I want to make sure you saw what we did. So you're coming up here, and I usually count above or below. So I came up in this hole. I skipped this thread. That was the first thread. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. You go down on 16. So that is 16 threads between them. I feel good about it. We counted it 3 times. Okay. 3 is right above 1. So you just come up, skip 1 thread. Okay. All right. So we came up at 3, which is right above 1. we're going to go down at 4, which if you look at your diagram is right underneath 2. Okay, and we counted through this together, so we know a little bit. Okay, up at 5 is right underneath 1. Let's come up there. Down at 6, it's right above 2. We'll go down right there. I know it's a long thread, it's okay. Okay, up at 7, which is right above 3, it's over on the left. Just follow your diagram, you're all good. Down at 8, and that's right underneath 4. Okay, and if you get lost in this one, you can recount it, no big deal, because you know where you started. Okay, so we just went down at 8. We're going to come up at 9, which is the next one down over here on the left. Okay, we're going to go down at 10, which is right above 6. It's the next one over here. Up at 11. 11 is over here on the left, and it's the next one above on the top. All right, and make sure you're pulling this taut, not crazy tight, but taut. You don't want it to be loose on the top. And then you want to go down at 12. Now remember, 12 stepped in 1, right? So you want to count down 1 thread and over 1 thread and go down. It's stepping in 1 on 12. Remember that. Look at your diagram. Okay, 13 is stepping in from the other side. So you come over a thread and down a thread to get to 13. Or down a thread and over a thread, however you want to count that. Up at 13, down at 14. 14 is still in the same line. It goes down on that same column on the right. No stepping in on 14. Okay. 15. Where's 15? 15 is right beside 12, only down 1. So from 12, where you came up at 12, you go, or down at 12. We went down on 12. You count down 1 and in 1. That's 15. Okay? 16 steps in 1 from 11. So you go up 1 and in 1 above 11. You're just following your diagram and go as slow as you need to when you do this on your own. Okay? 17. Remember, the odds are coming up. 17 is over near 13. It's down a thread and over a thread from 13 in. Down a thread, in a thread. Okay? 18 is from 14 up 1 thread, in 1 thread. Okay? You're just following your diagram. Okay, you can start to see that heart text shape. We just went down at 18. 19 is near 15. Okay? So from 15, you come down a thread and in a thread. That's 19. All right? And you're feeling on the back with your hand to make sure you don't have anything tangled. Okay? That was 19. We went up on 19. Now we're looking for 20, which is over here near 16, over to the left. So from 16, you want to go up 1 thread and in 1 thread, and that will put you at 20. Okay? You just follow your diagram. All right? 21, find 17, come down a thread and in a thread, and that is 21. Okay, so you're up at 21, you want to go down at 22. Well, 22 is really near 18 up here. So from this last stitch of 18, up a thread, in a thread. That's 22. Okay, are you with me? Looks like a crooked bow tie right now. You're down at 22. So, if you do have to stop and go somewhere, just try to mark down where you were or kind of remember where you left off. And if you can't, you'll find it. You'll be able to see where that last thread went, and you can count up the column and over, and you'll be right there. So we just went down at 22. We're looking for 23. And 23 is down here on this side. So from 19, which was that last stitch, you count down a thread and in a thread. That's 23. And you come up right there. 24 is up on the top. So from 20, the last stitch over here, which was 20, you count up a thread and in a thread to get to 24. Okay? 25 is over here on the left. So it's near 21. So from 21, you're counting down a thread and in a thread, and you come up. That's 25. Okay, 26 is over on the left. So from the last stitch over there, you count up a thread and in a thread, and that puts you on 26. So now you've got a little bit fatter of a bow tie, right? We just went down on 26 because it's an even one. So on 27, which is over here on the right, you find 23, you come down a thread and in a thread, and you come up. That is 27, okay? And then 28 is going to be up here on the top beside 24. So it's directly beside it. You just count over one thread and you go down, okay? 29 is down here on the bottom beside 25. So from 25, you count down a thread and in a thread, and you come up at 29. 30 is on the top, and it's directly beside the last stitch. So you don't have to go up, you're just going over, right? That's 30, okay? All right, 31 is down here on the bottom near 27. So from 27, you count down a thread and in a thread, and you come up at 31, okay? Now we're looking for 32, which is over here on the top. It's directly beside 28, okay? So you're going to go over one thread and go down. That was 32. Now, 33 is over on the bottom left. You find this thread right beside it, which is 29, the stitch right beside it. You count down one thread, over one thread. That brings you up at 33. 34 is on the top. You're literally coming one thread over from your last stitch. It's 34, you're going down. You're starting to see that heart come together now. And it's probably looking really pretty with your variegated thread. So good choice on the thread. All right, you just came down at 34. Now we're looking for 35. 35 is down on the bottom right-hand side. So you come down a thread and in a thread from that last stitch on the bottom right. You're up at 35 now. Now you want to go down at 36. Well, 36 is up on the top. It starts to come down. So from the last stitch up there, which was 32, you count over one thread and down one thread, okay? And you go down at 36. All right, 37 is back down to the bottom. From the last stitch down there on the far left, which was 33, you're counting down a thread and in a thread. You're coming up at 37, right? 38, you start to move down on this side of the heart, up on the upper right. So 38, you come over a thread and down a thread from that last stitch, which was 34. You're down at 38. Okay. 39, remember when we talked through this and we said that there were 3 stitches in the same hole. So 39 is the point part of the heart at the bottom. You count down one thread from the last stitch and in one thread, and you come up at 39. Now, they get a little tough to see up here at the top because you're in that fat part of the heart. So you just came up at 39, you want to go down at 40. Well, you can kind of tilt it to you where you can see, but you're going to count over a thread and down a thread from your last stitch, and you're going to go down at 40. Okay? 41 comes up in the same pointy part down of the heart. Okay? Same hole. You've already came through it once. 42 is over on the right-hand side, coming down the side of the heart. Just take your needle. This is a very durable thread. It's cotton and it's thick. Just push it over a little bit and you can see. Count over one thread and down one thread, and that is 42. Okay? 43, you come up in that same hole again, down at the pointy part of the heart. This is going to be your last stitch. So for 44, from either side here, you can count in one thread and down one thread, and you want to take it down right there, and that's your Rhodes heart. So okay, so I hope you enjoyed that Rhodes stitch. You know, this is another one that you can just put on the edge of your piece and use it for a needle keep. It's really pretty. To end it, you've got lots of thread on the back. If you look at the back of it, it's really pretty on the back. You can just kind of run it underneath. And your weigh a knot. You stitched over, so you don't have to worry about that. You can just clip it off. Now, don't pull it too tight back there. You'll disturb the front. Okay, so there you go. That's your Rhodes heart. Now, I would like for you to do at least one more of those. So we talked through it on the diagram. We stitched it, and now I would like for you to cut. And you see out of that yard, I didn't have a lot of thread left, right? You need it, don't make it a crazy long piece. You'll get a knot in it. But, you know, a longer than you might normally stitch with. So maybe like close to a yard. You want to pull it the length of your arm and then, you know, come across your body with it, basically, is what I do. And if you find that you're having trouble with your thread for any reason, you really shouldn't. This thread's all, if you got it from me, it's all pretty new. You can run it through a thread conditioner, and that would be like a Thread Magic or pure beeswax or something. It won't hurt it. It's cotton. It'll just relax it. So if you're having trouble with it knotting or something like that, try that. Make sure that you're keeping it untwisted. You know, almost all of us have a natural twist. As we pull the needle through, we twist it just a quarter turn. So, you know, untwist it, and you'll find that it manages better. So please try to do another Rhodes heart. And then we will come back and we will do a Rhodes square together, so that those of you who want to do a square on your design instead of a heart will be able to do that. So go do another Rhodes heart, and then I'll join you back here and we will do a square. Thanks. Bye.